those are very important. So you have a really fresh look at this kind of thing. And this older gentleman, to put it kindly, is not quite so aware, you know. And I know he works very much in conjunction with Mr. Thiel.
Yeah, well, Mr. Thiel's been pushing his wheelchair for a while. You know, nature created it so that there was transition. You know, there's a cycle. There's the wheel of life and renewal. And we have to realize when it's our time to move on. And he could have retired. His party could have put somebody else on the bench or you know, to eventually replace him, but they chose not to. I think that's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, they chose not to because, you know, as long as somebody is winning, you know, why do you want to, you know, change horses?
And this is such a difficult district. It is 80 miles long. So it requires tremendous resources and commitment of the voters to want a change and not be just satisfied with the same name. I believe this is a huge year for desiring change. And let's see if voters will actually read the front side of the ballot.
Oh dear. Please. After last night, I'm very concerned about this election,
the
as
debates,
I have never been.
Yeah.
But I do think that you certainly have a great deal to offer and a new perspective for people to really think about and realize that it is time for us to advance in certain ways, even just the electricity type of thing, the grid and all of that. As I mentioned, National Grid wants to have a big, you know, new raise.
That is a tremendous area for improvement. If you look at the types of technology, well, first, the solar rebates have died. That's a mistake. That needs to be fixed. I think we're only close to 3% penetration on solar roofs, and that's a shame. I wouldn't have ever thought to have cut those benefits until we were at least at 15%, at least. So I think that's a shortfall in legislative planning. As well, if you talk about the areas of the island that have natural gas available, there's two things. One is the equipment that they're offering rebates on is junk. It's not good. There's American-made equipment that's for heating that's 97% efficient, and the exhaust tube, you don't even use your chimney. You can't. It comes out so cold, it's using so much heat, it's so efficient that you can't use your chimney. It would condense in the chimney. You'd have vapor, you know, liquid water vapor in the chimney. So there's that. And there's other technology hitting the market called micro CHP, micro combined heat and power. So for making heat in your house in the winter, also at high efficiency, you now get free electricity that you pump back into the grid on a net meter, and you have electricity free for the rest of the year. So there are brilliant new things with no leadership behind them. That's frightening. It's kind of like driving blind.
Another thing that of course, one of my other issues is also all of the lines that we have on Long Island, you know, which are really very ugly. And of course, we know what PSEG did in the village and through part of East Hampton by putting these enormous poles with this substance called penta on, which of course gets into our groundwater. And you know, those poles are meant to stand winds of 125 miles per hour, but on the storm of 38, which they call the Long Island Express, those...
I never heard that name before.
Well, you never heard?
Oh, is that the one where the house roofs wound up in Connecticut, that one?
Oh, not only that, but the splash, the splash of the surge of water also wound up in Rhode Island.
Oh boy!
So I mean, that was a storm.
Yeah.
And the winds on the cyclonic side, the eastward side, were 150 miles per hour. So those huge poles, which are enormous, you got to really see them. It's incredible. And they would fall on those houses and probably split them. And it's really something that should be changed. I mentioned to somebody that I had seen a film on Italy recently where they were showing all of the towns. And I was, I've been there all the... And I suddenly realized there was not one pole with electrical wires in any part of that country. And I thought to myself, why are we so behind the
Right.
times?
Right. I'm for underground as much as possible, absolutely.
I mean, really and truly, there's so much infrastructure that needs to be brought up to date.
Actually, my house in Riverhead, when LIPA proposed another substation, our civic insisted that all the wiring be underground to and from the substation. And my house hasn't had a blackout since.
Boy, are you lucky.
I am lucky.
I had one in Sandy, and then I was surged.
Oh, boy.
When they put it back all together, I lost everything in my house except my refrigerator and my dishwasher, including every light bulb. So please don't talk to me about PSEG.
Did
and
they cover
LIPA.
any of it?
Unbelievable.
Did they cover any of it? No.
Well, they did because I happen to have been a friend of Tim Bishop,
Lucky.
and I made them do it. They wanted me to use my insurance company, but I wouldn't. Well, we're looking at your candidacy, and we're saying to ourselves, this is a guy who understands the future and understands that we need to come into this century.
The other part of the future is the demographics. And we have to look at a huge aging population on Long Island,
Oh, God.
which is another tsunami, because you're going to lose volunteerism, volunteer fire departments and ambulance corps, possibly going to paid staff. So we have to watch that. If we don't fix the housing crisis in Long Island for younger people, we will continue to lose them. We're not looking forward, and the numbers are there. The warning signs are there. And as well, immigration issues. We have a tremendous immigrant population, undocumented. Part of what I do in SCORE, actually, is try and get them to the right attorneys to help their immigration issues. I have bumper stickers in Spanish, too. Vote for Greg, but I do. I'm the only politician with Spanish language bumper stickers that I know of. It's an important issue. And to ignore it or demonize it is not the way to go. Though we have a huge conservative population at this end of the island, as well in my area on the North Fork where I live. They're completely ultra-liberal on immigration.
Well, we are looking forward to November the 8th, my dear.
Thank you.
That's our day of reckoning, and I hope that
so.
I can say to you, oh, look, you won.
Oh, that would be so great.
That would be wonderful.
It's been a long road, too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Must be a tremendous amount of stress on the body and the mind doing all this stuff.
Yesterday, 6 events. 5 I made. I just ran out of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is something, isn't it? Well, my money's on you,
Thank you.
and I'm looking forward to it.